What's up, guys? It's finally in the mid to high 50s weather-wise out here, and there's still plenty of ice and snow and slush on the ground, but as per usual, I was ready to get out of the house, and I've recently had some bad luck with my RC airplanes. Crashed one in the water the other day. You can check that video out, and I never did get to recover that. So I decided to go a different path today and take out the RC boat. So I'm down in Richmond, downtown in Shaka Bottom at the Canal Walk. All right, so this is the boat. We've got one extra cover here, and the reason I got this little Tupperware here is to protect the FPV camera that I put on there. So we're gonna try a little boating FPV and see how that goes. I haven't done this before. I'm not really sure what the results will be, but we'll try it out and find out. This boat is by UDI, a company called UDI. It's a 2S brushless motor boat, self-righting hull design. So if I flip over upside down, I should be able to correct that and get right side up again. It's fairly cheap for its class. It's quick for what it is as well. This little connector is cheap and really bad. And so I don't know if you can see those little pins, how they wiggle around in there. Not a fan of that. There we go. Get my little waterproof cover on and clipped down. So this little FPV camera I've got is very exposed, so I'm gonna try to take it easy. It seems inevitable that I'll have some water on it, and I'm not sure how it'll handle that. We may just lose video feed right after that, or maybe not, we'll see. But I've got a little monitor to record whatever we do pick up. All right, that's plugged in. We should get video here shortly. Yeah, we got the video feed okay. I'll hit record. So just a quick control check. The rudder's working and throttle forwards and reverse is working. It's going to be a little tricky getting in and out of the water here just because of the depth that I have to lean down here and try not to dump the boat. All right, so that's good. With the battery and the camera on top, it's still floating upright. It goes much faster than this, but that's the low throttle setting. So I'll do a little exploring with that first. May as well walk with it. Check my rudder effectiveness. Looks like I can turn to the right a little bit tighter than the left. I do have to watch out for sheet ice that's still resting on the surface in some spots. And the reason I'm worried about that is because if I have a little bit of momentum and I beach this on the ice, I don't have a good way to recover it. Sorry about the traffic noise. Get a little more speed going here. Try some turns and see how that goes. It turns. I'm not sure what that camera's picking up, or if we've got water on the lens by now. We'll see. Let's take a closer look. There's a little bit of water up that direction. I think that's probably inevitable in this. Alright, let's try a little more speed here. Full throttle. And we capsized. So that might be the end of our camera feed for now, but I'm gonna try the self-righting and see if it still works with all that. Yeah, still works even with the camera on there. So it's definitely a little less stable with that weight up top than it is without the camera and battery, but looks like my video feed's coming in okay, and there's a little bit of water on the lens, but it's still giving us video. Got into a little oscillation there. I'm really impressed that that camera is still transmitting and handling the water okay. I guess you could say it has water cooling today. Those little cameras get hot. It's running on an 850 milliamp hour 1S battery, the camera is. The boat itself is running on a 2S. I forget how big of a battery. Not terribly big. I chopped up the water. I'm going through my own wake and it's getting a little messier. Alright, let's bring the boat back and take a look inside and see about water ingress. Try not to fall in. That would be a cold adventure. Okay, so we have lost the camera, it looks like. I'm not terribly surprised about that. It did valiant work until it stopped working. So get that battery out of there. Alright, shake off that water and see if we've got any water inside the hull. Something to know about this boat, it's a great budget boat, but you don't have throttle cut, and honestly the controller is a little bit lacking in precision, especially on the throttle input. The steering's okay. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if it's dry in there. It's a little hard to get my hands on. Alright. See, very little water, not enough to roll around, just a couple drops that came in, looks like right here, and maybe one tiny little drop back there. By the way, the battery is a 7.4 volt, so that's the 2S. It's a lithium ion, not a LiPo. Lithium ion battery. And yeah, this little tubing here is water cooling for this block. I guess it's a water cooled block just to help dissipate some of that motor heat. Okay, looks like the hose routes up and to the side along here and presumably back through that ESC. So it's actually cooling the ESC. That's neat. After it heats the ESC, it runs through this little hose here, comes around, cools that block where the motor is mounted, the motor mount, and then spits out the side. So that's a pretty neat system. So we don't have any more onboard camera because it got wet, but I'm going to do a little bit more boating since we have some charge left in the boat battery, and just set the camera battery aside there. For those of you who may be thinking, why didn't you use this to recover your crashed airplane in the James River? And that's actually the reason that I bought this boat, is for just that. However, that particular crash was, I measured it on Google Maps. It was about, I don't know, 1,000, 1,200 feet away from my closest available position, and I do not expect that this boat has that kind of range. And so, rather than throwing good money after bad, I just called it quits and I let that plane go. This boat does have a reverse. It's a little, well, it gets the job done, but you have to be careful with the throttle. I'll get the boat closer and show you what I'm talking about. Because when you reverse, it pulls itself down into the water. See that? So that's, it gets the job done, but it's a little bit lacking in finesse, I suppose. Maybe it's my imagination. I'd say it's a little bit faster without that battery up top. And into the wall and upside down. It's really nice to be able to self-right. I think I'm going to put some steering trim in here so that I can turn left a little bit better and go straight. Still couldn't, that was full left and it was sort of just pushing me to the right with that wake. It turns well to the right. And then when it keels over a little bit too much, it kind of gets overwhelmed. The steering gets overwhelmed, I guess, by those fins. If I knew what I was doing, I could probably make adjustments to the fins so that it doesn't, so that it stabilizes a little bit better. But I'm not really a boat guy. Like I said, I got this to recover float planes that have crashed from the water. I'm just gonna try and drive it straight. No steering input. It's doing pretty well. Let the wake settle down and make another pass. Alright, no steering. It starts to keel over to the left. Yeah, it's a little unstable. So perhaps one of the tricks is just to keep a little more throttle in during the turns, but it gets a little chaotic. Nice little rooster tail going there.
So cool.
Thanks. So on the left side of the boat, I guess that's called the port side. When it gets up on plane, you can actually see the little spurts of water that are coming out from that cooling system. It's on the far side for us now. Whoops. There we go. So I'll go up here and make another fast pass so that you can kind of pick out that water cooling ejection. I don't know if you guys can see that. I can see it pretty well. It's a little whippersnapper. She's fun. It'll turn right on a dime. The left turns take a little bit more planning. I put reverse on there, put on the brakes before I hit that wall, and just capsized me. So yeah, I think this is a cool little boat. It would be nice if the steering were proportional. That's probably not the correct word, but even on each side. I guess that's sort of right. It may have something to do with the geometry, having that rudder mounted on the right side of the boat instead of centered. But I'm not sure if that's just a limitation of locating the servos to control that, or if it's for some other reason. But it would be nice to have that be a little bit more even. The other thing I would prefer is more throttle control. So I'm going to do a pass here, and I'm going to try and just step up the throttle little by little. This is my low throttle, but you can hear each step. There's number 2, 3. So yeah, I would say it has like 5 or 6 steps of throttle. There's not a lot of finesse with that. It's a bit on off. And we're capsized again. I will say I'll never buy a boat that is not self-righting, because why would you want to deal with that? Getting launched out of the water on the wake. You're looking at it, it's not that fast. Full speed right there. Kind of got stuck on the wall there for a minute. Alright, apparently this boat has a low battery alarm, but I'm not going to wait for it. I've had enough fun. So I'm going to go ahead and call it for today and get her out of the water. Pretty sweet little boat. It's definitely a good time for not too much money. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I'm sure you guys can look it up. It was one of the cheaper brushless boats available. I'm pretty much totally done and over having anything with a brushed motor. I always just burn them out, and it's no fun. So brushless is the way to go. If you're gonna buy something like this, just go ahead and spend the extra 80, 100 bucks, whatever it is, and save yourself the trouble. Alright, so we have a little bit more water in there this time. Kind of show you a few drips down at the bottom there. Really not bad. One thing I didn't mention is that I have done a repair on this boat. So at one point, let me unplug this so I'm not going to cut myself if that prop starts spinning. Alright, so at one point, there we go, that's off. At one point, the propeller shaft, so the propeller shaft is like, well, it's the full length, but it's not one piece. So it's got a piece that goes inside of that sleeve and then clamps just with a crimp connection to the remainder of the shaft, which goes all the way up. That clamp failed, and so the propeller looked like it was attached and it would spin when I would test it, but I would drop it in the water, and I guess as soon as it had the friction of the water to push against, that failed crimp connection would just let go, and the motor would spin, but it would not turn the propeller. It would just free spin. And so I got stranded out in the water once or twice until I figured out what was going on with that. So my repair involved, because I didn't really understand how it was all put together, I kind of took it all apart and took the sleeve out of the boat, which required me to remove that waterproofing that's back there at that point of connection. And so when I put it back together, I used hot glue and did my best to seal that up, and I think it's done just fine. It's adequate. It's hard to expect a boat to be a submarine. I mean, it's got this waterproof seal for this cover here, which makes a pretty good seal, but it's not perfect. And especially if you reverse the boat and kind of duck it under the water like that, you're really asking a lot of it. So the amount of water ingress I think is acceptable. Plus, by the time you kill your battery, it's not going to be that much water in there, so I don't think it would cause any problems. I really like the liquid cooling aspect of the boat. That's a cool feature, and like I said, the brushless element of it. So yeah, I'm still looking at the offset nature of this rudder. It seems like a lot of RC boats are like this, and I'm guessing it's because of the ease of installing that servo for the rudder. And so I don't love it, but I could see, you know, it would be a little bit more difficult to have that prop clear the mechanism. You'd kind of have to redesign it. It'd just be a challenge. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a wrap here and clean up and head on home. But thank you for joining me out in this beautiful day. I hope you guys are having a good time, and hope the snow and ice is melting wherever you are. And happy almost spring. See you guys later.